He worked 30 years for the same company and got fired on a Tuesday. By Friday, he was making more money than his old boss ever did. Dave wasn't special. He had no connections, no trust fund, no secret side business. Just a 47-year-old guy who discovered the one thing that separates men who build wealth from those who stay broke forever. And it has nothing to do with hard work. The strangest part, he'd been sabotaging himself for decades, and he didn't even know it. Here's the question nobody wants to ask out loud. Why are the most dependable, hardworking men the ones secretly stressed about money? Why do we keep trying to earn our way to abundance instead of allowing it? If you're watching this, chances are you've been the good employee, the responsible one, the guy everyone counts on. You've followed the rules, paid your dues, and done everything you were supposed to do. So why does financial freedom feel further away than ever? It's not your work ethic. It's not your intelligence. It's a subconscious script that's been running your money decisions for decades. And today we're going to identify and rewrite it. But first, I need to show you the hidden trap that catches good men like you every single time. Let me tell you something I wish somebody had told me 20 years ago. The same programming that made you a good student, a reliable employee, and a responsible man is exactly what's keeping you financially stuck. We were taught that money equals effort, that if you're not grinding, you're not worthy, that success comes through sacrifice, and if it feels easy, you're probably doing something wrong. I remember being in my late 30s, working 60-hour weeks, and being proud of how exhausted I was. I wore my stress like a badge of honor. If I wasn't completely drained, I felt guilty taking money for my work. But here's what nobody tells you. This belief system was installed when you were a kid. In school, you learn that rewards come after suffering through tests. At home, you probably heard things like money doesn't grow on trees or we can't afford that. At work, you see people get promoted based on how many hours they put in, not the results they create. This programming runs so deep that most of us don't even question it. We just assume that's how money works, but it's not. It's just how broke people think money works. Here's the hard truth. Working harder often leads to burnout and not wealth. I've watched brilliant men burn themselves out chasing the next promotion, the next raise, the next opportunity to prove they're worth more money. But your subconscious mind has a financial thermostat. Let's say it's set to $75,000 a year. You might push yourself to make $120,000, but something always happens. An unexpected expense, a health issue that forces you to slow down, a bad investment, self-sabotage that you can't even see coming. It's like your mind says, whoa, we're getting too far from our comfort zone, time to course correct. And you end up right back where you started, wondering what the hell happened. This isn't bad luck. This isn't the economy. This is your subconscious mind keeping you exactly where it thinks you belong. And until you change that internal setting, you'll keep hitting the same financial ceiling no matter how hard you work. But what exactly is controlling this invisible thermostat? The answer might shock you. It's a system that's been running your life since before you could even walk. Your subconscious mind runs about 95% of your behavior. It's like the operating system on your computer. You don't see it, but it's running everything in the background. And most of us are running some version of these kinds of money programs. I have to trade time for money. So you never explore passive income or ways to scale your value. Rich people are greedy or lucky, so you unconsciously reject wealth to maintain your identity as a good person. If I succeed too much, people will resent me. So you play small to keep your relationships safe. I don't deserve money unless I'm suffering for it. So you turn down opportunities that feel too easy. Here's the thing. These beliefs were installed when you were between the ages of 0 and 7. when your brain was basically a sponge soaking everything up around you. You heard your parents fight about money, you watched your dad stress about bills, you learned that money meant tension, sacrifice, and never having enough. Your subconscious mind is like the software running your life, and your conscious thoughts are just the apps. You can install all the positive thinking apps you want, but if your core operating system says that money equals stress, you'll unconsciously push wealth away every single time. Now here's the $1,000,000 question. How do you know which toxic money beliefs are secretly running your life? I'm about to show you a simple way to expose them. Alright, let's get practical. I want you to do something right now. Finish this sentence out loud. People with a lot of money are... What came up? Greedy? Lucky? Dishonest? Stressed? Whatever popped into your head first, that's a belief that's been running your financial life. Here's a few more questions to ask yourself. When you think about having $250,000 in your bank account right now, what feeling comes up? Relief? Fear? Guilt? Disbelief? That emotional response is everything. What did your parents say about money when you were growing up? We can't afford that? Money is the root of all evil? Rich people are just different from us? What story do you tell yourself about why you're not making more money? Do you say, the economy is bad? I'm not the type? I don't have the right connections? Be honest here. These beliefs are running your financial life whether you acknowledge them or not. The only way to change them is to first see them clearly. Once you've identified your toxic money beliefs, here's the part that most people get completely wrong. They try to think their way out of decades of programming, but your subconscious doesn't speak English, it speaks emotion. Let me show you what actually works. Okay, so here's how you actually change this programming. It's not about positive thinking, it's about rewiring your nervous system to feel safe with wealth. First, do some daily affirmations with emotional intensity, not just saying words, but feeling them. Every morning, look in the mirror and say something like, "It's safe for me to be well paid. I deserve abundance. Money flows to me easily." But here's the key. You have to feel it, not just say it. Second, do some specific visualization. Don't just imagine being rich. See yourself checking your bank balance and feeling calm. Picture yourself making financial decisions from abundance, not from scarcity. Visualize your family's faces when you tell them you don't have to worry about money anymore. Third, start acting as if. This doesn't mean spending money you don't have. It means making decisions from the identity of someone who has wealth. How would a wealthy version of you dress? How would he handle that difficult conversation at work? How would he invest his time? Here's what happened when I started doing this work. I began saying it's safe for me to be seen and paid well every day while driving to work. I didn't believe it at first, it felt ridiculous, but after about 3 weeks of repetition, something shifted. I started to feel normal. That's when opportunities I had never noticed before started to appear. The key is repetition plus emotional intensity. Your subconscious learns through patterns of feelings, not logic. But does this stuff actually work in the real world? Let me tell you about a guy who went from broke and bitter to financially free in less than 6 months and how he did it. Let me tell you about Mike. He's 47, works in construction management, and was stuck at the same salary for 5 years while just watching younger guys get promoted all around him. Mike's core belief was, I don't want to be one of those guys who sells his soul for money. He had this deep programming that making more money would somehow compromise his integrity or change who he was. He worked on shifting that belief to, I can be wealthy and maintain my values. My success helps my family and sets an example for my kids. When he started doing that, the first thing that changed wasn't his income, it was how he showed up at work. He stopped apologizing for his expertise. He started speaking up in meetings. He began positioning himself as someone who solves problems, not just someone who follows orders. And within 4 months, he was offered a project management role with a 40% salary increase. But here's the real transformation. He actually felt worthy of it. The old Mike would have found a way to sabotage the opportunity or to convince himself that he wasn't actually qualified. But Mike didn't just change his bank account, he changed his identity. From someone who was a hardworking guy who just gets by, to a valuable leader who gets paid what he's worth. Now, you might be thinking this sounds too good to be true, or wondering why some people transform quickly while others stay stuck forever. Well, the answer comes down to one crucial factor that most people completely miss. Here's what I really want you to understand. This transformation isn't about learning new strategies or working harder. It's about becoming someone who no longer doubts their worth. When your nervous system feels safe with wealth, when your identity includes abundance, when you genuinely believe you deserve financial freedom, that's when everything changes. Money becomes a natural match for who you are, not something you have to chase or convince yourself you deserve. This isn't about perfection. You don't need to eliminate every limiting belief or say affirmations perfectly. It's about consistency. It's about doing this inner work every day until abundance feels normal instead of foreign. The real shift happens when you stop asking, how can I make more money? And start asking, who do I need to become to be wealthy? That's when money stops being a mystery and starts being a natural result of who you actually are. And that brings me to the most important part of this entire video. What you do in the next 24 hours is going to determine whether this becomes another interesting video you watched or the turning point in your financial life. Listen to me. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not the type to be wealthy. You've just been running an old story that was never yours to begin with. Every successful man that you admire started exactly where you are right now. The only difference is they changed their internal programming before they changed their external circumstances. So here's what I want you to do today. Pick one limiting belief about money that you identified in this video. Write down the opposite belief. And for the next 7 days, repeat that new belief every morning and every night. Feel it, embody it, become it. Your bank account is just a reflection of your beliefs about what you deserve. Change the beliefs, and the bank account has no choice but to follow. What belief are you rewriting today? Let me know in the comments. Your financial freedom is waiting on the other side of this inner work. The old story ends now, and the new one starts today. This channel is all about real transformation from the inside out. Mindset, meaning, no fluff. So if that's what you need more of, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started, and I want you here for what's next.